Welcome to Holy Fuck. Holy Fuck. Holy Fuck. Two gals on the prowl for enlightenment, sex, and all things holy. Holy Fuck. Each week, beauty alchemist and transformational coach and speaker, Katherine McClelland, and spiritual healer and life coach, Krista Kim, discuss navigating spiritual consciousness in a real human body. Stumbling through dating, relationships, and everyday life, all while maintaining a fucking sense of humor.
Did you?
I'm not going to let you know.
Biatch. I'll walk over there and find out for myself.
Well, on that note, welcome everyone to the Holy Fuck podcast. I'm Krista.
And this is Katherine. We are having one beautiful morning today. We have been having a playful time with the technology of the universe coming to join us by inviting us to do different things than we were expecting today. And we did a little prayer and centering before we started. And we know that everything is unfolding for our highest good, even if we can't see it right now.
Yeah, that was funny because we've been having so many technical difficulties lately. And so my thing was like, man, let's call in the light and just send light ahead to this tech stuff. And the first thing that happened was nothing worked. And whenever that happens, Katherine and I look at each other and like, spirit must not be wanting us to talk about this today or that today. So we went and we course corrected and did some other things that we knew we needed to do. And now we're circling back around. So just letting spirit guide us this morning, as we always do.
Yeah. And sometimes we notice that when things like yesterday, when my car broke down on the freeway, that was fun. It was quite remarkable because it wasn't really upsetting to me, which you would think it might have been because I had a whole day planned in Los Angeles and now I wasn't there. But I had these four beautiful angels just come and take care of me so fast and with so much care. These four men just flew in out of the sky. This has been my experience so many times. And each one had a different purpose and each one took me to the next place and got me there safely and with just such care and respect and honor of me and made sure I felt safe and they didn't leave me alone. It was really quite remarkable.
Wow.
So I felt more gifted by that experience instead of like taken down by it and derailed, maybe like I might have felt another time.
Right. But so look at, it was all about perception in that moment. The old you would have
been angry.
Been so angry, and how can this happen? I was supposed to be at this place, and I'm disappointed. And it's like, no, okay, that happened. And look at these beautiful men who showed up to gift me and support me and make everything happen. And I think also I tie that back to the other things that have been happening in your life. This is just like Spirit's way of saying, you've got this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here. I'm taking care of you.
I do. I feel that way all the time. And the other thing that I really wanted to remark on is how much I appreciate men's ability to take charge and protect and provide. They're sort of like, dun, 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 and they show up. And it's so great because I totally relax. And he stayed in his truck and he made me safe until the tow truck came. So long story, but what I'm trying to say is it was remarkable, the quality of care that I was given.
By the
masculine and how much appreciation and how restful I could be standing by a freeway. I was so appreciative. I gave them so much love back. I cared for them in my own ways. I tipped everybody. I was really generous. And it just felt really great. It felt like I'd been in this huge giving and receiving experience between the masculine and the feminine. And then they were like, okay, now you got it from here. And off I went into my life. It was just really sweet and lovely. I wanted to really appreciate that and to appreciate the masculine for that showing up.
Beautiful. And appreciate where you're at that you can receive the masculine in that way and not be offended. Like, who do they think they are showing up? And there's none of that. It was just seeing the gift in it.
Yeah, I wasn't really going to tell that story, but it was cool. And then the other thing I wanted to say was, back to a couple episodes ago where Katherine and her vagina were on display. So to speak. She has had a little more time to do that with her doctors lately. But what's true is that I've had an amazing experience of healing my body pretty quickly and with very gentle approaches to my body. So I didn't feel assaulted. I stopped doing the Western medicine pretty quickly because actually it did not feel good. And my doctor said, that's fine, let's reset.
And I want you to pause there because what you just said is really important. The doctor gave you medication and you took it for a couple of days, but you noticed very quickly that you didn't feel right on it. Something was off, and you called and said, can I get off this medication? But the old us would probably just keep taking it even though it's making us feel sick. And so I really
appreciate you saying that, Krista, because it was super uncomfortable to take that medicine for just my body just was sort of rejecting it. And so within 2 days of getting off it, I was much, much better. And I was taking care of myself in all the natural ways and getting natural advice from people and taking my probiotics and eating my sauerkraut. I did sound silly, but it's not. So I'm healing really, really well. My doctor was pleasantly surprised, and so am I. So I'm going to be back in the field again soon. In slightly a different way.
In what field are we talking about?
We're talking about the field of feeling free in my body to express any way I want. Right now, I'm feeling like this is a really important time to be taking care of my body. And it feels really important because we talked about this the other day, about this time period with my father passing and me stepping into my own life. And what happened around this for me was so interesting because this is all located in the part of the body that we call the first chakra. And some of you may know what I'm talking about, some of you may not. The chakras are power and energy centers in our body. And they're based in, they came out of the Indian Vedic tradition. They have since found themselves in our culture because they're so powerful and so strong that we can't avoid noticing that they are really a powerful place of healing. So to address each of these areas. And for me, the first chakra is all about grounding and power and strength, not just for me, I should say, for all of us. That's what it's about. And really what it's about is breaking out of the tribal beliefs that you grew up with and having your own, creating your own world with your own standards and your own values, and really stepping in powerfully to say, this is what's okay in my world, and this is not okay in my world.
And for our listeners who might not know much about the chakra system, can you explain why you went to the root chakra?
Well, the root chakra is actually where the vagina lives. It's in the lowest part of our torso, I should say, and it's a very important energy center.
And perineum and all that area. Perineum. How do we even say that?
I didn't want to correct you. Yes, all of those, but it's very low, and it's below our womb, which is our creativity center, which is the second chakra. So the first chakra is really about getting grounded on the planet. And I have not chosen that in my lifetime. I have spent a lot of time, as you know, I'm a minister, in flowing from what we would call the higher chakras, 6, 7, and 8, where I like to float off the planet, and I'm like spiritual bypass girl. Hello, nothing's going on here because I'm floating free. And freedom is another thing that Krista and I talk about a lot because it's a very high value of ours. And we have achieved freedom in our life by leaving our bodies rather than coming into our bodies. So that's actually a big part of what this show is about, is getting into our bodies to find our freedom instead of getting out of them to find our freedom.
Right. And I haven't been having the physical ailments right now in my body, but I also haven't been working out and doing things to strengthen my body. So I can see that as a little bit of my spiritual bypass, in that I'm like you, I want to float up in the higher realms and almost dismiss my body or ignore that I'm leading a human life. And so I'm realizing lately, like, a lot of comments have been made to me from different people pointing me in the direction of I need to start paying attention to my body because it's here to house my soul and to allow me to experience the higher realms. I have to have this body right now.
Yeah, and even also with that, Krista, what I've found is that the good parts about being in a human body are passion, excitement, all sorts of ways. Well, yes, but I don't know why I didn't say that directly.
Well, that's why I said it for you.
But all of the ways that we experience passion, all of the ways like jumping out of an airplane is exhilarating, all those things, we have to have a body for those experiences. And in many traditions, we get born onto this planet before we get enlightened. So we have to choose to get all the way in before we can get out. So for me, getting all the way in is one of the big projects of the last 10 years of my life. When I left the ministry, my body was falling apart. And I told a story the other day about having some biopsies. when a significant relationship of mine ended and my partner moved out, how the biopsies changed from positive, which is negative, and negative, which is positive. So again, this period of my life after my father died feels like a period where I'm taking on my own tribal beliefs and I'm very clearly establishing my boundaries. And what that's creating is chaos.
Right. Temporarily.
Yes.
It's creating the chaos because it's pointing you to where your next moment of healing is.
Yes. And the chaos, part of the chaos that I'm talking about is relationship chaos.
Oh, I thought you were talking about vagina chaos.
Well, there's vagina chaos because that was the first level of awareness. But part of that is recognizing, even in that, having to confront some relationships about the vagina context and then experiencing what I experienced, finding that sometimes there's defensiveness, sometimes people aren't so interested in talking once there's something going on that isn't just fun and sex. And so really clarifying for myself, my queen realm, I get to say what the rules are. So men in my realm are kind.
Yes.
Men in my realm show up and they protect me. Look what I created yesterday. Men in my realm are respectful and honoring. And as I say that, I feel my entire body relax. So I'm just thinking to our listeners right now, Krista, let's invite them, each of you, and men, this is for you too. What's in your realm? Are you letting things exist in your realm? And have you in the past let things exist in your realm that you actually don't think are okay? How people talk to you, how they treat you.
Well, the whole point that we're trying to make too is that, and we discussed this the other day, like usually spirit, God, universe is whispering these hints to us.
Right.
And maybe we don't like what the whispers are saying. So the God might be saying,
pay attention.
Yeah, hey, you might want to pay attention to the way that person makes you feel. And you're like, nah, because they're sexy or whatever. So I'm just going to take it on. Well, then what happens is God's like, okay, you're not listening to me whisper, so now I'm going to get a little louder. And then if you don't listen to that, then I'm going to yell and I'm going to make your vagina fall out. Like,
it did not fall out. Just for everyone, I know you're worried when she said that.
But then if you didn't deal with it this time, then it opens up to the potential of the next step, which
exactly
cancer, all the next levels of health. And so the work we do is we don't want it to go to that level. So we need to deal with the physical ailments now. And then we look back and go like, wow, I should have listened to the whisper. Maybe next time when I hear the whisper, I'll do it differently.
Yeah, and we do listen to the whisper sometimes, and we don't sometimes. And probably all of our listeners have that same experience of like, even the morning that I went to LA, I had 2 car choices, and I said to myself, I'm going to take that one because I haven't driven it much. And inside me, I literally heard, don't take that car, you haven't driven it much. And when I got halfway to LA and it died, I was like, yeah, I just completely ignored that. I know more than my intuition. I just want to tell everyone, I think that I know more than my intuition, and I am very wrong about that. The I that I'm talking about is my ego, who has a plan. And if I can't relax the plan, I get caught. And it's just funny because it happens all the time. Luckily, it wasn't a disaster, but it does remind me like, I did hear, do not take this car this morning.
And why do you think, because that's a pretty easy example, right?
Yeah,
that's not like Spirit was saying, asking you to do something really hard. It was just choosing a car. But it's like, what is that? It's not like it said, I think you should get a divorce. And you're like, no, I don't want to deal with that right now. So this is like a simple thing that almost like you were being tested. Okay, I'm going to give you an easy example to trust your intuition. Are you going to listen? And you didn't. But I don't know, Mike, what do you think your learning was from that?
I think there were 2 levels of learning. One is listen, right? Which is just a reminder. It's not so much a lesson because we know to listen. But the other thing was, and if you make a mistake, whatever, we don't even know what mistakes are. But if something happens, I'll still take care of you. So the universe is a friendly place. Even though I forced my plan on the car and took the other one and it blew up.
It ultimately had a win-win for you. It ultimately gifted you the angels in that knowing.
It did. And it gave me a sense that I was cared for even when I make mistakes, which is super important for all human beings. Lesson. Oh my God, do we ever need that, right?
I think that's so great that you just spelled it out like that too for the listeners, because we don't listen to the whisper. And then the thing happens, and we could go into beating ourselves up over it and just get stuck there.
And we have, probably.
Yeah, we all do.
Right.
But you didn't do that. You're like, well, I didn't listen, and this is what happens. And now I'm open to the gift.
Yes. And in some cases, I don't hear it at all. I don't hear the utterings from the universe. In some cases, I hear it like loud and clear in my head. It's not like words. It's I know something I didn't know 1 second ago. I can't even explain it.
So are there any whisperings or words you're hearing now about the health of your vagina? I just like to say vagina.
Now that we've released our vaginas, we're still going to have to do that show where we get everybody's words. Biscuit. Cupcake. So what I'm clear about is I made all the choices I made very clearly, and I didn't have a lot of like, don't do this, don't do that. What was fun for me was really landing in my sexuality after having pretended it wasn't that important to me for a while, because I'm 58 and I was like, oh, I don't know if that's as important to me as it used to be. Oh my God. It's so important to me. It's not just like a little thing. And once I landed in that and I was playing so full out with my partner, it was so fun. And I actually at one point almost sort of gave it up.
Well, you could have taken the whispering to mean, or you could have taken even the health diagnosis to say, oh, I shouldn't have been reclaiming my sexuality.
Hell and damnation. I was being punished for that.
But there's an opposite. I mean, there's another way to take that.
Well,
Well,
for me, I just choked on myself. For me, what I experienced is just this gentle sense of take better care of yourself and enjoy sex. In some ways, I was having so much fun enjoying sex that I was just letting it all like kind of rip. And this is where my diagnosis probably came from was, and just to be clear, it wasn't anything super bad. As I got my test results back, they came back one by one. It was very funny. They came back like this, HIV negative. I was like, whew, I didn't even think of HIV. Then it was like Hep B negative. Oh my God, I didn't even think of that. Hep C negative. Oh, geez. Oh, I know somebody who really had, so it was just each one, then it was herpes, negative. And then it just kept going down the list and everything was negative. So by the time it got to the couple that it was, which I'm finally going to reveal all of it to you, I had a bacterial infection, I had a yeast infection, and I had a pretty big case of HPV, which is called condyloma when it is not the cancer-causing type. But there are 18 strains, just so you know, that are carcinogenic. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know if that's the right way to use that word. But anyway, they result in cancer, and those are tested in pap tests. So we don't have to worry about this. If those things show up, we just get our butts to the doctor. We get our vaginas to the doctor.
That's a different doctor, Katherine.
Different doctor, butt doctor. Yeah, okay.
But what do you think your beliefs are regarding where your diagnosis started, the work you did, and then the final diagnosis?
Okay, so what I really think is there was a part of me going through this process, which actually this sort of liberating process started in the process of a lot of things that were happening in my life. We had fires here, we had mudslides here, and my father passed away. And all of it was about me claiming what I want in my life and what I'm going to hold for and stand for. I'm not going to take the second slice. I'm not going to take the back seat. This is my world. And I think the one thing it brought home, maybe more than anything else in my whole life, is that I come first. Okay, that's a double entendre, and I didn't actually mean it quite that way, because I actually don't mind if it goes the other direction, as long as I come.
Just kidding.
Even sometimes I don't care so much about that, but I do care about it, just for the record.
The other learning, I think, that I was alluding to earlier was that you could have walked away and said, oh, I shouldn't be having sex at my age, and that's why that happened. But the part that's in your integrity now is I think you realized it was more about that relationship maybe wasn't the best one, or maybe as much in your integrity as you wanted it to be.
Yeah, I think, Krista, I really am going to come back to taking care of myself, because I think it was so spirit-led for me to fall into bed with this guy, and it was so much fun.
Yeah, we're not saying it was wrong. We know it was divinely planned this way to spark this change.
Yeah, exactly. It was to spark this change. And the one thing I didn't do was take really super deep care of my body. It was just having too much fun. And I said to Krista, it's all fun and games until someone gets a vaginal issue. So it was all fun and games, and I want you all to take good care of yourselves, but also know it's not the end of the world if something happens. It's not the end of the world if you take a chance and it doesn't go the way you'd like it to. We're not so incredibly fragile. We are powerful. We are strong. We have all
and that's
sorts.
what I also was getting to, that your first diagnosis, you did a lot of spiritual, emotional healing work. You did it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then by the time the other diagnoses came at the end, they were drastically different. And my belief, and I think it's your belief too, is that everything that we talked about, that you personally worked through, whether it was in your meditations and journaling and clearing and freeform writing and everything you did,
Everything I did, right,
changed physiologically your body.
Absolutely.
And healed yourself.
Absolutely. And also physical. Like, there were some major physical changes that I went through. I have not had 1 ounce, 1 drop of sugar in 3.5 or 4 weeks, which is pretty remarkable. Mm-hmm. And that really helps bodies heal. And I just know it. And also it helps me feel safe because I'm taking care of myself. The thing that was one of the most remarkable pieces of this was I did a meditation that was created by a guy named Shealy, who works with Katherine and Myss. And it was a first chakra healing. And it comes up from the ground and into your bones and up your whole body and circles around. And it does this. So I did 1 a day for a few days. And I was just like, this is amazing. And I know it's healing me and all that stuff. And it's a first chakra healing. It's all perfect. And then one day I did it 4 times in a row. And I didn't really think about it. I was just like, oh, I'm doing this cool meditation 4 times in a row. The next morning, I woke up in so much pain because the meditation was about bone health and bone strength and bringing the earth power into your body. 4 of them in a row was like overdoing it in a workout.
Short-circuiting the circuit somehow.
I just overdid it in a workout. Like,
yeah.
I was bringing so much energy in that my legs were they were aching. So it was like growing pains. Remember when you used to have those when you were a kid? Mm-hmm. I actually thought it was funny. I was like, wow, I can do energy work on such a level that my body can hurt afterwards. So
powerful.
So powerful. And so for any of you that don't know about this or haven't ever done it, we do know that visualization, that using our minds to heal us, is one of the most powerful things that we can do. And just in this demonstration alone, I even increased my ability, my faith in the fact that that actually is a hugely powerful way to heal. Do not negate these amazing ancient healing structures that have given us so much power. And also what I was saying is, so all of this stuff in my vagina comes up to be healed, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, and I got a boil and a rash. It was like every day something new showed up. My doctor was like, whoa, the vaginal apocalypse. But it's all clearing and it's all great. And then all my relationships started coming up and exploding one by one. They were like popping off. And I had a really kind of weirdly dishonoring episode with a man I know on the phone, where his attention was literally taken by another woman while he was talking to me, and he hung up on me. And I was like, wow.
And then after that, do you move forward in a relationship with someone like that?
Well, what I know, right? So it's like, again, it's like all of the clarity starts coming to the surface. And what I have in me to do is speak my truth, is not to slam the door and say, ha, fuck you, buddy, I'm never going to. No, it's like, this just happened. This is how I experienced it. This is what I would want. And wow.
Throat chakra.
Throat chakra. So everything. We are now in the 5th chakra, which is attached to every single one of them. And actually it is your portal to standing in your power and claiming who you are and what you want in your life. So the 1st chakra is cool and important and grounds us and holds our life force, and for women is super important. But our 5th chakra is what makes it come alive, because we actually talk about it and we share it and we tell our loved ones, this is what I stand for. And therefore, when people don't agree with you, they can fall away.
It's not, what I'm thinking about right now is it's not lost on me, the synchronicities of life, that you and I spent a significant amount of time last year diving even deeper into the works of Katherine and Myss and Shealy. we were doing it, not really knowing why we were doing it. Just right today when you were talking about doing his meditations, it's like all that work we did was preparing you for this moment and giving you the tool to heal this.
Absolutely. I loved them last year and I used them intermittently, but I didn't have an issue I was working on. And so this gave me a powerful way to use it. The other thing, Krista, I want to remark on about that time we spent together is Krista and I actually didn't know each other very well. We've lived in the same town for how many years? 12 years together, like something like that. And we met in Los Angeles in our program, so it was kind of funny. We lived probably 5 blocks away from each other.
And the program was Consciousness, Health, and Healing. And one of my favorite course of that year was the Carolyn Myss and the chakra systems and how we went each month, chakra by chakra, diving into the material for us all individually. So I was journaling on what was coming up for my tribal beliefs, and you were journaling about what was coming up for yours. And then at the end of the month, you look at it and you're like, oh my God, I had no idea that was stuck in my root chakra. Okay, well, then we do the healing process around it. And the next month, we just kept moving up. And for our listeners, the chakra systems it kind of like moves right up the spine to all the different areas. You're just going straight from...
So we can just tell them really quickly, right? So it's the first chakra is your root chakra, and it grounds you on the earth, and it's about your tribal beliefs. And your second chakra is where you're in a woman, where your womb is, and it's the creativity center. And it's about mastering your care for others and mastering
relationships,
right? And so but it is about making sure that you're caring for others. It's not like it's all about me. So,
they like
having
to say
a baby
honor one another.
Honor one another, right? That's another way of saying it. So when you're raising a baby inside your body, you're honoring that there's another being there.
Right.
Your third chakra is about you, and it's your power center, and that is right around your belly button and a little bit higher than your belly button, actually.
Solar plexus.
Solar plexus. Okay. So that's a little bit higher. And so anyway,
that's the personal power.
That's your personal power. So a lot of times when people start feeling something's happening, they'll feel like someone punched them in the gut, or you'll have a gut feeling. Those things are all your personal power. So it's embedded in our language, even though we don't know we're using it. These are amazing little tools. So that happens. Then we go up.
For that one, it's the honor oneself.
Absolutely.
Because if it's personal power, okay, you've honored your kids if you're raising them, but then maybe you've given up too much of yourself. So when you come up to the third, it's, now I got to honor myself.
Absolutely. And the thing to know is this is an energy system. So energy moves up and down and up and down. So some people will find that they're heavy in the higher realms, which is Krista and I. And we have to draw our energy down consciously, like stand on the earth and do things to feet in the water and things like that to get ourselves on the earth. Other people will find that they have to draw their energy up. So next we're in the heart chakra, which makes sense. And we all know about the strength and power of heart and love. That one is one of the strongest chakras in terms of interacting with both the spiritual realm and the physical realm. If you can keep your heart open, you can have a magnificent life. And the fifth chakra, as we alluded to before, is about speaking your truth, getting it up and out, getting whatever is clear to you from your chakra releases and your healing to make sure that you actually speak it into the world. So if someone challenges you, that you don't just lean back and say, oh, it's okay. You say, actually, that doesn't work for me.
Mm-hmm. But if your heart, which is below there, is blocked, it makes it almost impossible to come up and speak from that place to another person.
Absolutely. And also, you can imagine when your power center is blocked, when you feel at the effect of other people, when you feel like you don't have anything to give, speaking your truth is impossible. So that's why we go looking for these things. So if you have a big stomach ache all the time, one time I had a breakup where I felt like literally, the words that came out of my mouth was, I felt like I got sucker punched. Mm. And my third chakra area, my solar plexus hurt for so long until I could really get in there and do the healing, not just from that relationship, but clearly when something hurts that much, it goes way back.
It's built up.
One of the things that's exciting about healing is you get to heal forwards and backwards. So, Krista, we've talked about time and space, space-time. So since there is no space-time, when we do the healing, we do it forward and backward, up and down, sideways. So
because if I heal my tribal beliefs and hang-ups, the theory is then my kids don't need to experience it because I'm not passing that forward to them. So that's the forward healing.
And it's a tiny bit more woo-woo than that. Mm-hmm. Because when you heal, the world heals. heals. So sometimes when Krista and I are doing healing work or something and someone says, what do you guys do today? We're like, healing the world, evolving our consciousness, things like that. Do you guys ever do that during the day?
Because we believe that when we're changing our energy field, then when we're walking around the world, we are affecting other people's energy world. And even if we're just sitting in our house meditating, it's still vibrationally affecting outside of ourselves.
Absolutely. And this is one of the places in the heart chakra that we talk about forgiveness, that we're back down to chakra 4 because it just came up again to talk about this. But we talk about forgiveness in the heart chakra because that destroys your energy field, not someone else's. How many of you, and this has certainly happened to me, have been so upset and angry with someone and not forgiving them? Oh yeah, it did happen to me on the reverse that I didn't know about. Someone was angry with me for 2 years, and at the end of 2 years revealed it to me. I had no idea. I'd moved across the country. I'd done all these things. I had a new life. I was married, and they were still mad at me for 2 whole years. I felt so sorry. Don't do that to yourself. Let them go, sort it out.
Because it's an energy tether. That person had a hook with you, and there was all that negative energy from them toward you, and it just didn't even need to be there. They could have, 2 years earlier, cut the hook by saying, hey, that really hurt my feelings. Just wanted you to know.
Yeah.
And then you could have said, I'm sorry, 2 years ago. But instead, they drug that negative feeling forward.
And inside their life, not even inside mine. So if you think you're punishing someone, forget about it. You're not, because they don't even know. And
after just punishing
even
yourself.
Even if they do know, they don't care. Because in their world, what they did was fine. They don't see it the way you see it. And so it's probably good for us to get over it.
That's just one episode.
Yeah,
but if you are doing that to 10 different people, think how much emotional negative energy you're pulling forward. So
absolutely.
In clearing the chakras, what we're doing is cutting this little tether over here and this one over here and coming over, down that far and cutting. And every time we cut something, we're lightening our load and we're allowing the energy to just flow more freely.
Exactly. Up and down in our system. So just quickly to go over the last couple, and we will come back to this another time.
Yes.
So we stopped at 5, which is the throat. The 6 is the third eye, which essentially the idea is if you look through the third eye, it's the eye of oneness. It's the one eye in the center of your eyebrows and the center of your forehead. And what it does is have you see everything as holy. Everything
seek
that you
only
see
the truth, power of the mind. Those are
the things.
Keywords.
But it's not the power of your mental judgment or judgmentalness. It's power of seeing everything essentially as holy, which is why we talk about holy. It's not a Christian word. It's a word that denotes the sacred. And if you see all of life and all of what is happening in the context of sacred, you will have a much more beautiful life. I have a bumper sticker on my car that says everything is sacred, including that guy that just cut me off and that, that person that I just almost gave the finger to because I was so mad. I never do that. Yes, I do. I never do that physical thing because I don't want to get in trouble.
I mean, even our podcast title, Holy Fuck, that's the whole premise of what we're talking about, is that healing it from the real world. There's the holiness, there's the fucking. We're healing as we go up. But ultimately, the healing happens when we can look at whatever we're experiencing from 5th, 6th, 7th chakra going up. That's where we start moving into the divine territory.
Right. And what is so vastly important in our lives today is to recognize that all of them are as important as each other. And we need to have them in a way in our bodies that our physical body supports our spiritual body and our spiritual body supports our physical body. Because the spiritual aspects bring us peace and the physical aspects bring us passion.
Because after we do the 7th chakra, I would love for you to go, if you are open to it,
sure.
With regards to your vagina, go chakra by chakra, saying what that looks like so that our audience can kind of get a more real experience of the work you've done through each one or what was brought up.
I'm going to be going back and pulling that out, but let's see what happens. So 7th chakra is your crown chakra, and that is where you connect with the divine. And a lot of our energy comes up and through our body and then cascades out and drops down. And then there is actually an 8th chakra, and the 8th chakra is where you actually can meet spiritual entities and find deepest spiritual truths. Alrighty then, we're going to pause right here for our show today. We got a little vagina verbosity, so we had to spread them into 2 episodes, that is. If you're interested in a bit more of a deeper cut for your own healing, check back in with us at episode 6, part 2.